All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can get joined in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good. Good, good, good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Awesome, awesome. And whew, what a day, what a week so far. We're going to take a look at it here in just a moment. So today we're going to be talking about chart patterns that work. And today we're going to be talking about triangles. And these things work, guys. We looked at the head and shoulders this week, looked at cup and handles, and today we're going to be looking at triangles. What a great tool. Before we get started, though, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we're going to take a look at the market, see where we left off today, and then we're going to get into the topic, and then we'll take questions and chart requests. So here we are. So here's the SPX today. Here's the monthly chart. So pretty impressive month so far, right? Big green candle here, and what do we have? Two trading days left this month. So pretty impressive stuff. Tomorrow is Fed Day. So let's see what they have in store tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at futures in a little bit here, see that they're pushing pretty up right here. We'll see if that push up, to see what they're going to do tomorrow. So there's some talk about the Fed actually lowering rates to negative interest rates. And so I don't know if they're pricing it in here, after hours, and then maybe we get a big morning and then they sell the news, or if that's just the catalyst this market needs with increase reopening of states and negative interest rates to get this thing all the way back up to all-time highs. So what an amazing last 3 months. Anyway, so here we are, monthly chart right below the mid-Bollinger Band. Weekly chart. Okay, we take the inside. We took the inside week up today, or this week so far, and today we filled this gap on the weekly chart, which is pretty cool, right? Those open gaps on the weekly are like, huge magnets, right? And then we put an upper shadow off of that, and kind of pulled back a little bit back into this inside week range. So let's see if we can get out of that here in tomorrow. So here, this is what it looks like here. You can see the open gap here on the daily even, and we pushed up there, filled that gap, and then it did its job and came right back. But it did come back to the upward trend line, so it is holding that upper trend line support. And pretty cool too is that low right here, that 28.55.44. Right, we closed above that too. So that prior support level is now acting as potential support right here too. So there is a chance for us to kind of start to rebound off this. This is kind of one of the things we were looking for. But it was a nasty pullback today. So you just had to trade the price action today and take advantage of it, right? So let's take a look at that intraday price action here. So you can see on the SPY, right, or the SPX here, we gapped up today, upper shadow right at the open, and then they just got aggressive this morning with it, right? So we were looking at the futures in the SPY. We get a little more pre-market data up like that, but we got a nice short off of that there. 15-hour breakdown for a nice move down, and then just some fantastic follow through on that today. So really, really nice stuff this morning. And then it was just down for the count. You may have seen me tweet that out a little bit earlier, but really just kind of blah right here. But it did hold the lows for the majority of the day. It had some buying pressure in this area right here, and that's kind of where we settled down at the end of the day. We also caught a nice trade idea right here at the end of the day too on the live stream, inside 15 down too, that broke out of this channel type pattern, right, and really started to break down. So in fact, right, you can look at it this way too, and look at this as a triangle pattern right here. And remember what we said, all these geometric lines, all these chart patterns all start with these pivots, right, these pivot points here, and putting some geometry on it, putting these geometric lines on it, and then you start to form bigger chart patterns. So today we're going to talk about just this, right, these triangles. And you can see this triangle breakdown here worked really nicely. If you go to the 5-minute chart, and these are the levels that we provide to our members before each market open, right, you can see here, right, this one even has a channel. I'm going to do the triangle on this one because we'll be talking about that tonight. So you can see this right here, right? You just have these nice little pivot points right here, right? And that gives you what you need, right? That gives you exactly what you need to get this thing going, right? You can see here, you get a nice triangle pattern through here just by forming that. So what we would look for, we looked at the end of the day. We know we get a lot of volatility at the end of the day, right? So that's one of the things that we look for, right? We look to put these geometric lines together. Anyway, and with the levels, beautiful, right? So these are the levels we provide to our members. You can see down here, when we got this nice breakdown out of the triangle, right? If you go to even a smaller time frame here, this is April 28th. Let me just check this out right here. You go to even smaller time frame. Look at this candle right here. What a great entry out of here too. So, because you're holding this daily pivot level, right? And then boom, you get this nice momentum candle here to really get to that next level down. So just a beautiful move out of that triangle right there today. So anyway, really, really nice stuff. We walked through that step by step at the close today. It was really cool. So yeah, so that's it. So that's the SPX right there. Kind of show it on the SPY, and then we'll look at more triangle setups on the SPY as we get into that. Okay, so SPY 2. And look at that. Look at that drifting up here after hours too. Whew, incredible stuff. In fact, let's take a look at the ES real quick and just show that here after hours. See where we're at here on the futures going into tomorrow. Up 30 points. I know 30 points seems like 3 points these days, but we did have a macro triangle on this one going into this evening, right? We pointed this out. We went live for the futures at the open of the future, right? And then we got to this macro geometric level right here, okay? Which forms essentially a larger triangle. Well, it was over here, right? So let me get it from here. You got to start from the other side. Can't estimate it with this thing. Okay, so you get out of this triangle right here and get a nice move up, right? So we're already coming up, to today's 15-order highs. Pretty amazing, right? Just in a little bit of the evening, we're already back to where we started this morning, right? Pretty amazing stuff. So what are we doing? Right? Well, maybe yesterday we talked about a cup. Maybe we'll get this cup pattern right here, and then maybe we'll get a handle on it, right? And then we'll break out after Fed tomorrow, right? So at some point, we'll see. We'll see what they have in store for us. So, but pretty interesting stuff. Okay. Good. Hopefully I got this screen pulled up. Okay, good. So tonight we're going to do just that. We're going to talk about these chart patterns that work, okay, and especially on the day trading side. So let's take a look at these triangles right here. So triangles are really cool, right? We've done a bunch of stuff on triangles in the past, but that is just what they are, right? So when you see these consolidate, I've done a 3-minute video on it, right? You look for extreme moves, right? Because obviously in here, right, you look for extreme moves, and then you look for a lower high, and then the key part next is to look for a higher low. So lower highs and higher lows that consistently start to do that, and then you can get your triangles in there. And triangles are great, right? Because one of the things that we look, so here just as an example, let me just show you here as a triangle, right? You can see what happens here. Say we come down out of this, and these are in the form of pennants, whatever you want to call it, right? So you come here, right? You get a lower high, but then after that lower high, you get a higher low. Okay, well, is that ready to break out yet? Well, you have, no, if it reverses off of that, now you have a lower high, and then it comes down here. If it doesn't reverse that, you have a higher low, and it just keeps doing that, right? Until you get a breakout one way or the other, and as long as it breaks out nicely, some good volume, you have a good chance for it to start to work out. We look at this all the time intraday, and it helps to look at different time frames to see what they're doing, but that is really just one of the key aspects for getting these triangles together, right? So anyway, really good stuff. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. I'm going to go to the SPY so we can kind of go back to the last couple days and just see some examples here on the intraday time frame, right? So so today, right, we had a couple nice little moves, right? And so one of the cool things about these triangles, right, is they give you, some really good clues, right? So we talked about this already today. So this is a larger triangle type pattern right here. You can see how that kind of worked its way up. I'm going to go here. I'm trying to go at this distance right here, right? So what happened today? We had a lower low, right? We started here. Okay, we had a lower high, right? Lower low. So at this point here, we're looking at, a possible triangle breakout this way, right? And it starts to kind of get a little bit tight in here, right? So, kind of a little bit tight right here, but it's still kind of working on its triangulating pattern. And then it finally gives you this nice pivot level right here. And now we're talking, right? We've got some nice stuff to work with. All right, we tag these levels right here, then we hit the higher low right here. And then boom, we get this triangle into the close, and we get that extra volatility, you get that nice triangle breakdown there today on the SPY, right? And we see that a lot, right? We see this all over the place. And a lot of times it manifests itself in, other, kind of ways. But, here you can kind of see right here. Where you kind of look for these. Anytime you get these geometric levels in, now this is really tight on the intraday chart. As you guys have known, when I talk about triangles, I like them to be a little bit longer, and a little bit flatter, right? Because that shows that true compression, right? That contraction leading to expansion, right? So here this get a little bit tight right here, but you get a little breakdown move right here. You make a little scalpy type trade off of that on the intraday. But I'm telling you, this stuff is great when you start seeing these on the intraday. Yesterday was a nasty, grindy, choppy day up. Let me go a couple more days back here. There. Okay, so we'll start right here. Okay, cool. So this is actually back on the 21st. Same thing at the end of the day, right? Nice triangle at the end of the day. Look what happened. We break out of there, get a nice move down. Nice, lotto type trade at the end of the day, right? So you got to love that stuff. And let's see. So we keep going. Okay, so let's see. So here, right, you start to get a little bit of a triangle pattern right here. You start to see these lower highs, right, these higher lows, and things start to move, right? Now, we always take into account our levels. So this is a good example right here. This wasn't a really clear breakout level, right? Because we were running into that 15 orb resistance, right? So we need to keep checking and seeing, right, where we're at in terms of the move. Here's a great one too, guys. Right? We talked about this, right? We had that head and shoulder pattern here. Look what else this was. This was also a triangle pattern. Okay, it's not perfect right there, but I love doing it when it matches up like that. So perfect triangle pattern right here. So a lot of times these head and shoulder type patterns, you can compress it into a triangle, right? And then we got this nice breakout move here on the spine. We caught this one the other day. It was a great move, right? And then nice follow through on that one here. And even plenty of space here to the 15 orb low on that one, right? So you really start to see these things all the time, right? You know, you take these levels here, here, right? This is a little bit tight right here, but you can see that nice breakout move right here for a little bit of a pop, right? You came back through the triangle, that midpoint level. Once it lost that level, right, it broke down. Okay, so these give you these oftentimes give you little scout moves, but if it's in the direction of the trend and some other of the internal tools, right, you can kind of see that this stuff really does work here. So a nice little ascending triangle type pattern right here. Boom, breakout, right? What else is it? It was also that head and shoulders pattern. So when you start to put all this stuff together, right, put the geometric lines together, you start to see the chart patterns and start to see where these things, you know, have a better chance of breaking out, right? So the bigger the chop, right, the bigger the pop, right? The bigger that chart pattern is, right, the more chance you have of it working its way out of it, right? So, you know, the size of the head and shoulders pattern, right, like this. Okay, you know, nice move up there, and then you got some nice follow through on that one before it pulled back again. So good stuff, guys. Really good. So I hope you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can. Try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff. Let's see what we got here. So I know that actually I don't think Shirley's sending in tonight. She had a question earlier, but no charts tonight from Shirley, so that's cool. Let's take a look and see what else we have. 1 second. What happened? I lost my screen. Okay, there you guys are. All right, good. So good. Danny, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, GE reporting tomorrow. Yeah, so lots of earnings tonight, guys. We had Google tonight. So that was moving up. That helped push the Qs up. Facebook moved along with Google yesterday. Tonight. And then AMD had like a rough earnings candle. That pushed NVIDIA down, but NVIDIA ended up coming back up again anyway. So they're not playing those games with this type of volatility. So GE inside month so far. We got earnings tomorrow. Let's see, weekly chart kind of blah. So what we've got here is basically a triangle pattern here on the daily, right? So let's get this going here and see what they have. And so I don't know, I can draw these better on the daily when I just go out and kind of come out. Anyway, so but nice move there. Inside day up so far. Let's see if we can get some volume break out of this triangle. Maybe it can work its way up to its cloud level right there. Nice one. Cool one. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in this evening. Hope you're doing well. Cloud guy, what's going on? AYX. Let's take a look. So AYX. Oof, rough day today, right? Almost like it's in the style, right, of a falling threes method, right? We've talked about this. We also talked about how rare these are. We saw a few of these today on the 1 minute chart on the S&P futures today, where you have your first red candle, and then you have three. The rise. It looks like a rising threes, but it's a falling threes because it falls. And then you have your engulfing candle next, and then you get your downside follow through off of that, right? So that's kind of what this looks like here, except it's actually 4 candles in here. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty bearish right there, right? So let's see if it breaks down out of the cloud, and it might want to kind of come back and test that prior inside day level if it doesn't gap up huge with the market tomorrow. So good stuff. ZEK, what's going on? Yeah, XOM. Yeah, the last time I checked this one today, it propped up on the radar with some bullish end of the day potential. And it got like a little move here. So, we're seeing a little strength there. Earnings coming up pretty soon. A little doji right here. It's starting to get over this trend line. So that's good. It could use some more volume, but it did have like a little pop at the end of the day there. So we liked the airlines a little bit better than some of the oil stocks that were moving. So, but good stuff on that one. AMD, closer to 54. I mean, it's basically... This has a good chance of a reversal tomorrow, especially if the market's strong, right? I think they actually had good earnings too. I think they had a beat on earnings and revenue, or in line with revenue and a beat on earnings. And so, the algos just pushed it down here. So let's see if it gives us a good opportunity to do some bottom, if it's not already back to break even tomorrow. See if we can catch a nice reversal on that one tomorrow. That could be one to keep an eye on the radar. And then Oxy, yeah, Oxy hit the radar too, along with XOM today. But decent. It's drifting up after hours as well. So in terms of its daily candle, not quite out of this range yet, but I like the bullishness on it. Earnings coming up pretty soon. So good. Matthew, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Oh, Lulu, good job. I know some of our members caught this yesterday, I believe, for a nice gap up today. But this looks a lot like Facebook, right? I'm just going to put... Okay, you see how that Facebook kind of gapped up yesterday? strong candle, breakout candle. The gift horse trade, right? So, the gift horse gap, right? And then it kind of faded that gap a little bit. It's still holding okay. It's a little bit below this prior, resistance level. So let's see kind of how that holds going into tomorrow. But I did like the gap up today, so that was nice. So, pulling back a little bit here, see if it turns into a reversal of a reversal, but we'll go from there. And then Diz had some relative strength this morning. And then it ended up, like 15 cents on the day. So similar to Lulu, right? Nice candle right there, gap up. And we saw this on just about everything today, on a lot of stuff, except oil, airlines, things like that. But it was looking really strong at the open, right? We had our pre-market box levels. Disney rarely gives a huge momentum move, but it gave a nice one up there, got to 110, and then very fast reversal on it. So on that day trading stuff, especially when kind of volatility's up there and the market's turning, right? Get those stops up there, take that profit at the open. But yeah, so interesting pullback there today. It seems to be trying to drift up a little bit here. We need that next Mandalorian to come out soon. When is that coming out? I know they haven't been filming a lot of stuff because of Corona and stuff, but wow, can't wait for that next series to come out. Anyway, good stuff. The Nest, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's take a look. So work. Recent failed head and there it is. Recent failed head and shoulders breakout right there. Gap up today, and wow, this thing just keeps getting badgered up here. I mean, it just is just like boom, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, and then it gaps up, and then boom to the downside. But it's hanging in. It's hanging here in this congestion zone a lot. So at this point, let's look and see. If it does give like a breakdown candle, this thing might want lower to the cloud. Otherwise, it might just kind of try to slow grind its way back up here and try again. Right? I'm not going to mess with it until if we get a candle one way or the other that's like significant. But pretty interesting stuff. CGC, same stuff, right? So gapped up and pulled back, but nice candle yesterday was a good one too. For the gift horse move on that one, just couldn't get any movement after the open today. APT still triangulating in here, still getting tight. No breakouts yet on this one, but definitely want to keep an eye on. Of course, Lake as well. I know one of these days we're going to look at it. We're going to see a big candle on this one. So this one's drifting a little bit lower here, right? So it's trying to get down out of this inside day. See if it breaks that inside day down and give you a little, might start to work on a momentum move on that. So definitely want to keep an eye on Baba. Oh, Baba was great today on the short side. Anybody who's been following along with this will know what we're talking about here, right? Yesterday we were talking about the cup and handle patterns and all that stuff. But, zoom in here. We did bounce out the 50 in the cloud. So we do have that going on. Remember, I asked about this one today. So we got this kind of trend line right here. As nice as the bounce was here, I still want to see at least some confirmation above this downward trend, this, kind of short-term geometric line right here. But great intraday stuff today. This was beautiful, inside 15 right at the 15-hour blow, and just bleh on Baba today. So that was a good one. Good, yeah, and then AVLR. Avalara. Couple upper shadows right there, a little bit of a tweezer top type feel to it. Not quite tweezers tops, but a little bit of an couple upper shadows right there. So kind of look at that resistance. It kind of comes back to this level right here. So see if we can close bullishly over there. Maybe it'll start to work its way up. Crazy spreads after hours. So it's just one of those ones. And then Snap. Snap, crackle, pop. Up 30 cents here after hours. A little bit of a pullback here, but has some potential. Right, little pop here with the the Google news and the Qs working their way up and stuff. So a little bit of a geometric line right here. Here's your level. There's your confirmation after hours, and it gives you your pop up. Price action works no matter what, but sometimes it's not that easy to trade. But anyway, so it keeps working there, and then let's see if it gives it a little gap up tomorrow and get some movement on it. It was a rough candle today, but it's still kind of holding up here. We're seeing kind of a horizontal type channel situation going on. So good stuff, great ones. Then I appreciate it. Looks like we have a few more later. Mark, what's going on? Yeah, BA. Earnings tomorrow. Let's see if we can get out of this sloppy mess in here, right? So we'll keep an eye on it right here. I mean, my theory is that this thing's gonna gap and just like rip tomorrow, but but who knows? I mean, you never know with earnings. But to me, it seems like they came in today, right? It pushed its way down today, but it also had some negative news with it, being probed for criminal activity for their 737s, and then the FAA, with more stuff saying they investigated the 737s, found debris in their faulty manufacturing processes and stuff like that. So it's they tried to push it down today. It's they almost did it on purpose to get people more bearish on it. So they could gap it up tomorrow, right? And squeeze it around. So we'll see. We'll see if that theory ends up holding true. But we're going to keep an eye on it here and see where it gaps to. I think the expected move on this one is like, what is it, like 10 point? Yeah, about 10 points, one way or the other. So, yeah, so right now we're looking at somewhere around like possibly 140, or 120. But I wouldn't be surprised if Boeing did like a 20-point move if it, if it had some hype with it. So drama stock. Anyway, so that's interesting there. Yeah, Netflix, rough day today on Netflix. It was one of the first ones to kind of tank this morning. A lot of stuff gave us clues at the open, right, pre-market, with what was going on today, right? So we could see a lot of the stuff tried this morning, then really started to curl over, pre-market. We saw that kind of heavy here with Netflix, and it was also kind of downtrending anyway on the shorter-term time frames. You can see this channel I have into here. Right, so that kind of gave you that pre-market level right there, and this blah, right into the open. That was just kind of down for the count there. So it hasn't really been participating in these recent rallies, despite its move, its epic move up, right, to all-time highs. So it's starting to break down here below the macro trend line. So below today's lows could either give a momentum move to the downside, or we can see where we close tomorrow to see if it makes sense for a possible short swing on it to work its way down at least to these levels, depending on what what type of action we see. So you like BA to tank and Flixie to rip. I know, exactly. It's kind of funny. I'm just saying the opposite, right? I'm saying I think Boeing could rip and Netflix could tank. But exactly. So just all, we'll just have to see that we need to see confirmation. One, we need to see earnings. We have no idea. And two, with Netflix, it's holding its 21 EMA, so we need to see if it can confirm or at least push below it. So if not, it may hold its 21 and continue to work its way back up, get back above that trend line, maybe with some more bullishness in the Qs. Good stuff, Rich. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. All right, so Zoom. Inside day. Oh, inside day at the ADMA. So let's see which way it decides to go. It was down today, so it was, a down inside day, obviously, with the rest of the market type stuff. So, a couple nice little short opportunities today. Nice 15-hour breakdown. They got this inside 15 doji here, which kind of went to the downside. So, so definitely want to keep an eye on there. Held its ADMA down. So let's see if it does. If it breaks down below that inside day low, it may come back and test those inside day lows. So we've got those on the radar for sure. Zynga. ZNGA. All right. So a little bit of an engulfing candle, not fully bearish engulfing, but the real body engulfed the prior real body. So nice down move right there. It did close below the ADMA. So a breakdown below today's lows could test that inside day low and possibly this pivot down here at $7.26. And then Melli. Yep, so Mercado Libre, they don't report for a little bit right here, but it's holding the cloud pretty well, inside day up, still holding the cloud right here, but it looks like it's still in kind of a triangle, type formation stuff going on here. So getting tight, let's look for a breakout candle on that one. Looks good. Cool one. Can you explain today, we gap an AXP, and these are bullish or bearish. Yeah, let's take a look. So AXP, so these are like kind of the difference, right? You've got your gap moves, right? So this is not really a gap in terms of trend, right? So this is just gapping around with the rest of the market, right? So all the financials were really strong recently, right? So you had JP Morgan was strong yesterday, Bank of America. So a lot of the financials, got some nice follow through today, so it gapped up with that, right? So just kind of have to look at the sectors with these. AXP is pretty tough to trade anyway, right? So it makes it a little bit challenging. So with a gap up like this, you just have to kind of see if it gets any follow through on it, right? So I mean, there's a couple other levels right here. Here's a geometric level right here. It's still pretty range bound, still kind of a doji day. It got a little bit over this level right here, but decreased volume, right? So this is just a gap with the market, So when we see other gaps, right, we have breakaway gaps, runaway gaps, and exhausted gaps, right? And so, your breakaway gap is like, okay, we're trending, and then boom, we gap, right? Runaway gap is, you're still moving, and you get another gap, and maybe you're getting done, and then finally your exhausted gap. It's like, okay, it's the last gap that it could do. But right now we're just kind of in this range. So, if you try to analyze every single gap right here, you go crazy, right? I mean, gap down, right? Gap down, gap down, gap up, right? So this thing is just trades all funky, right? So that's pretty much it with AXP. But yeah, a lot of it had to do with the strength in the financials. Good. Heather, what's going on? Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Reed, what's going on? Yeah, ENPH. So this one, not ANPH, ENPH. Thanks, Finger. Oh, yeah. Relative strength today on this one, for sure. Nice breakout move right here. Nice breakout candle. I like it. In fact, this is going on the radar for tomorrow. Let's keep it. It was on the radar today a little bit. So it did have some relative strength today. Take a look at the, obviously it's green when most of the market was kind of pulling back there. But if you go to the 15 right here, it just held up really well today. Nice Nice move at the open, right? Bull flag here off of double inside 15. You get out of that bull flag and clear those levels, and you get that nice little move up right there. And it drifted up nicely into the close too. So yeah, there's definitely some relative strength on this one. So one to to keep an eye on for sure. Good stuff. And you're always finding these great ones. DXCM. Wait, before I look at Cortez, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Nat. We won't talk about Nat, but nice follow through today. Cortez DXCM. Dexcom. Nice. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, bearish right here. So we've got earnings. They were today after the close. So bearish candle. Well, let me before I eat my words on this. It was bearish here today, but obviously earnings can change it all around, and it did, right? So it kind of pushed off of there. It hasn't quite got over today's highs, but it was a big candle today. So let's see what it does. If you can get over that 344, 345 level, you might get a little bit of a gap and go on it. We talked about the professional gaps last week when we were talking about gap strategies. So right here, this is it's in the earnings, so it's a binary event. But if we do gap above it, right, bullishly, that could squeeze out a lot of shorts on that one. So definitely want to keep an eye on there. Oscar, what's going on? Doing well. I hope you're doing well too. Thoughts on potential earnings for Facebook? Boeing, like I said, I mean, everybody knows they're struggling. Right, so it's really all about like how they kind of handle the conference call and what type of things they say about when they're going to be testing and all that stuff. I mean, they just opened their South Carolina plant, I think, like yesterday. So with Boeing, it's just all about how they spin it, right, and how the algos eat it up or how Wall Street eats it up, right. But keep in mind, it's a Wall Street darling, and they do whatever they can to not let it go down. So that's the one thing about Boeing. Facebook, on the other hand, is a little bit tricky here. I have to imagine everybody's been talking about ad revenue being down, things like that. So they have that issue, going on. But they've done. I mean, they have some other strong sections too that can help them. So it's pretty tough right here to see how it does. I mean, it's really kind of in the choppy range right now. So I'm not expecting a huge move one way or another, but it still could, right? If they come out with like blowout numbers or something like that, kind of like a a Google type move. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. But let's see where Google is right here. So it had an expected move, I think, like 60 points today. So let's see where I got to here after hours. 13.29. Oh wow! I'd say Google will either not move or it'll gap up 100 points. Right? I mean, so we were here at 12.33. We're at 13. Over 30. So over 100 point move on Google, just ridiculous. But so 13.33. That puts it up. Up here. It doesn't really seem like much, does it? There was that one earnings report that they did where they were up like 100, where it was like out of nowhere. This one was just incredible, right? 11.33, right up to 12. That was a huge gap move. It gapped over a lot of stuff. That was an incredible gap on Google. Now it doesn't seem like much because the volatility has been so high. It's only looking to gap like in this area right here. So there's a possible reversal on this one. So definitely one to keep an eye on there. Anyway, good. So hopefully that answers your Facebook question along with it too. So no clue, but if they have some blowout numbers, it could get moving. Otherwise, it could be it seems to me like it could kind of be a little bit flattish, right? So good. The Nest the Knights who say knee. Yeah, really tight on this one too, right? So it's a big triangle pattern right here, right? You just kind of see how how tight it is. So getting tight in there. Look for a breakout candle. See if it gives you a some direction on that one. And then the Roku. So Roku, pretty interesting too. Really bearish day today, right? Great down move at the open, right? Beautiful inside 15, just kind of work its way down. Look at that, right off of the 15 order low. And then, big push down out of this kind of triangle pattern right here too, and below the 80 MA with volume. So if the market is weak tomorrow, keep an eye on Roku. That's going to go on the game plan there too. So I mean, it could be strong with the rest of the market. It's really not moving really in sympathy with anything. It's up like $1 after hours. So let's see. Just keep an eye on it right here. It does feel like still a little bearish, especially if the market gets weak tomorrow too. So Matt, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Good evening. Triangles. Awesome. Good stuff. Mark, do you have any favorite books that you recommend for learning technical analysis and chart reading? So really good one. Yeah, I mean, it depends like how complex you want to get or how kind of straightforward you want to go. But John Carter's book, Mastering the Trade, is just such a great book to read. Especially if you're kind of new to trading, but I've also traded a little bit and had some wins, had some losses and stuff like that. It's a great one to kind of put some things together, and they talk about that, right? But if you want to look at candles and learn all the basics of candlestick, check out Nissan's book on candlesticks, right? Understanding Japanese candlesticks. It's really not complex at all. It just kind of talks about, he brought it to America from translating, Japanese text and all that stuff, and you kind of got, their price theories, right? So where we get our candles, and that's why we get a lot of Japanese names on them, like Harami and Marubozu and stuff like that, right? So those are two probably good books to say. So you want to start, have candles on one side, and then any of Bukowski's books on chart patterns, right? That can be really helpful too. And Bloomberg does a good series. Bloomberg Finance Publishing does a good series of their visual guides are really good too. Just for kind of starting out type stuff. Visual guide to chart patterns, I believe, and visual guide to candlestick patterns, stuff like that. So little things that I think those four books are a good start. And then you can hit me up later for some more reading. Session, what's going on? Take a look. IBM. So IBM, interesting right here. So it got to the cloud today, kind of pulled back into the cloud a little bit there. So a little bit caution on that one. See if if that gets a move on that one. Realty Income Corp. Okay, yeah. So looking interesting right here. Definitely, working on a bit of a triangle type pattern. Let's see. How should we look at that? Look at all those inside weeks I had to deal with on that one. Anyway, so really tight here in the triangle. See if we can give you a breakout one way or the other. Coke had a decent move yesterday. Coke had a decent move intraday yesterday, right? And it came out, gapped up today to the cloud and pulled back down on it, faded that gap on it. So just kind of really triangle type pattern, even though that 50 moving average almost looks like part of the triangle right there. Right? So getting tight, let's see if it gives a breakout move one way or the other. UGI. So very, very similar right here. It looks like it tried to actually get out of, a triangle type pattern, and then it pulled back off of it, right? So that's just kind of, this is just pushing the triangle, expanding the triangle a little bit. So let's see how it handles these levels right here. It's coming up on earnings a little bit, and then OMI, oh my, a little bit of follow through today. Not a lot of volume going on here. I like the volume that we got back here. So it's still below the upward trend line right here. So see if it can kind of work its way up and get above that and get this thing going bullish again. It's got some work to do. Anyway, good stuff. Brian, what's going on? Apple. Apples and bananas. Let's take a look. So Apple, this one took a little bit longer than everything else to fall today, right? It took like an extra 15 minutes-ish or so. It just kind of hung in there a little bit when everything was starting to drop. And it was like, upper shadow, and it wasn't as easy, but I love this upper shadow right here off the ADMA, off the cloud. Off of the orb, and then worked its way down to our channel levels there. So it's kind of going around a little bit. Again, we got earnings coming up this week. That's kind of the big thing that everything's waiting for. If you notice the past 2 days, a lot of money has flown out of these tech names, right? And they've flown into stuff like the airlines, right? Retail, financials, right? So we've seen a lot of that today. So it's like the algos are like hands off on the financials this week as they so giving the bears some fun to push it down a little bit as I wait for some direction on earnings, right? And then generally what the market's doing, right? And so we're seeing that kind of that push, that sector rotation into others. Now Google might help, right? Give some strength to some of the other tech names like the Facebook, right? That was gapping up a little bit there, right? Advertising revenue, things like that. So definitely stuff to look at. And Facebook has got their earnings coming up, so it's gonna be very interesting. After this week, a lot of these tech names should be a lot more. They're still tradable today, but should definitely start to give us some clearer signals. Good. Suresh, what's going on? Yeah, Roku? Yeah, Roku. So again, bearish radar, right? It's up a little bit after hours, right, with the rest of the market kind of pushing up and all that, but still kind of a bearish move today with increased volume. So that's telling you something. It's like, folks want it out of this one. So see if the bears step up and push it down. If not, right, this could just turn, instead of being a pennant, this could be turning into more of like a bull flag, type move. So just kind of keep an eye if it comes down to that 21-day. So we'll see. Heather, what's going on? Mandalorian, Season 2, October 22, not soon enough. I know, 6 months. This is the way. It's going to be so good. I can't wait. It's going to be epic. They're going to see some Jedis this time, it sounds like. This is going to be awesome. Anyway, I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Carl Weather is so good. Okay, anyway, good stuff. Rich, Mark, yeah, my pleasure. Rocky, what's going on? Yeah, LH, how'd that do today? I know all these diagnostic ones had some. I tell you, I'd say, with the way this market's been, if you get a nice gap up on this, is gift horse right there. You just got to take your profit and then, regroup, right? You can always get back in. You can always get back in. So just pull back there. See how it holds these levels right here. You got a gap below too and earnings coming up. So you got that going. Cherry, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. AMD, yeah. So earnings tonight on AMD. Right, so apparently it didn't like its good earnings and revenue. So, so we'll see if it's not gapping down that much. So let's see if it gives us a reversal opportunity. We do have this triangle type area right here, which is about where we're at. This 53 area. Well, actually a little bit below it, but see what it holds. We're kind of in this 53 area right here. But to me, it's not really. If it were gapping down here, we might see a little bit of a push down, but we might see a reversal on AMD tomorrow, especially if the rest of the tech is strong. So we'll keep an eye on that one tomorrow morning. Costco, yeah, Costco should be bullish. It just is just not right now. I mean, it's okay. It's holding its 21 EMA. It's just in the chop zone. Costco does like the chop for a while, as you can see, and then it gives you a breakout candle and gives a little bit of a move after that. So it's one to keep an eye on. SPCE. Nice intraday movements, but on the daily, it's just not doing anything yet, right? It's still in this chop zone, in this range bound stuff right here. But we are seeing some big moves on an intraday. Here's your inside 15 for a quick move down. It's just it's just tough. I don't really like to trade this one. It gets a little funky until you start seeing some nice breakout. A couple of these days you get some good ones, right? You just have to kind of see what kind of volume's coming in. Okay, and then CRWD. Looks like an evening star reversal on this one. Let's take a look right here real quick. Let's zoom in. All right, let's see right here. So here's your green candle, right? Your real body green candle over the real body right here, and then as long as we close 50% of the range here of this candle, right? Evening star reversal, boom. Okay, so we closed like 23%. 78.6% or more on that one. So evening star reversal on CRWD. A little bit. It doesn't mean 70-something% chance of follow through, but the follow through we still have to break through these lows right here. So let's see if that gets any follow through the downside on it. But this is one I would look at. It's interesting. We don't see too many evening stars. So that's one to kind of keep an eye on there. I'm going to put it on the bearish radar for tomorrow just because of the evening star reversal. So, all right. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Nice one on that one. Nice catch on that. Good. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Mark. Nice. Rocky, INO. I know. Yeah, I mean, it put in lower low and came off of it today. So that, I mean, it is kind of doing its thing right here. So I had a nice candle the other day, gift horse trade, and we're kind of getting back to these levels. So see if we can get back, get some sort of confirmation above that level there. See if it gives a move. Good stuff, Micah. What's going on? Baba. Let's take a look. A lot of bullish call activity. Yeah, somebody else mentioned that to me too in the group today on our live stream at the close. And again, it could be. I think they're a little bit farther out, right? I mean, you definitely have this nice cup and handle pattern that we looked at yesterday, but it still has to finish the handle, right? If you want to get in early on it speculatively, right, we at least have to break above this geometric line here. So as you can see, I've got an alert on this, right? So buying down here is a little bit too risky, right? I still like on any sort of breakout, I still like confirmation. So that's kind of all I'm looking at there. But we'll see what they have in store with that bullish call activity. You can't read too much into it. Sometimes they don't work, right? And sometimes you don't know what they're doing. They might be just writing calls on a large position, hedging, whatever the case is. So there's always that possibility. But again, still trade the charts. Right? That's one of the key things right there. So beyond, also looking like it might be working on some sort of long-term cup and handle pattern right here, but it's got work to do, right? It had to kind of do that, and this is kind of a little bit sloppy right here. So it had a nice breakout move, right? When Beyond gets busy, right, it gets going. And you can see it gave a nice move up here. Now it's kind of reclaiming some of that range. You got maybe a possible test here at the 50% of this breakout candle, right? It's also corresponding with the ADMA, so we may pull back to that, right? There's also a lot of conversation today about the meat shortages, right? The president came out and talked about making sure like Tyson doesn't fail, right? Making sure they use like national defense budget to keep the meat supply going. And so, Beyond's been a play too with that, right? Because they're like, oh, if the meat supply is down, right? Well, then people are going to want to buy something that's meat-like, and so you got this. So that was kind of one of the theories there, but behind its up move, right? So So we'll see. We didn't see any up movement on that, with the saying that, hey, the meat's good, but maybe it's down because the government's trying to keep the meat industry up, right? So we'll see. It's interesting right here, a little bit bearish, some good volume, but again, the 50% of this candle is kind of the key area to see if it holds. So good stuff. Brian, by the way, Apple had a fake breakout from a head and shoulders pattern today. How can you avoid getting caught in this kind of trap? What time frame was it on Apple? Well, one of the key things to look at is make sure you see what's going on with the whole market, right? I mean, so you still have to get a good sentiment of what's happening, right? So here on the intraday, we were just bearish today, guys. I mean, this is one of the things you kind of have to look at, just overall sentiment. When you have a big move down like this, to get a huge, if you're trading range bound, right? And this is probably, something we could add it to the conversation on the head and shoulders patterns. I definitely see what you're talking about right here. You got this going on, but you gotta wait for confirmation, right? So that's kind of the one things right here. So you got this shoulders pattern. Right? I'm assuming you're talking about this. But one of the things we did talk about is waiting for confirmation here, and just an upper shadow up there. This is not necessarily a reason to enter on this one, right? Especially at the end of the day, you got to be careful with that, right? So you at least want to see something to show that this is confirming, right? So if that's where you got caught, that was just just jumped in, right? And then top tick this thing and it came back in. So here wait for a candle, right? Show that it wants to get out of there. Otherwise it just kind of ticked. And this is a 5-minute chart right here. So it came up right here and didn't really didn't give you a tick on it. Didn't give you any sensible way to, even the 1-minute chart. I mean, it's just, there's nothing, right? It just ticked, right? So that's the only thing I see. Otherwise, guys, if you're trying to get micro on this stuff, like if you're looking for head and shoulders patterns right here, I mean, we're talking about broader patterns on the 1-minute chart, right? So full day or half a day formations. If you, like I said, one of the things I said the other day is don't read into the smaller term, don't get granular on it, right? Look, zoom out, squint your eyes, see if you can see it, right? That type of thing. Got to have a nice move on it. So if that's the one you're talking about, that's just what happens right there. But the big thing with the market today is sometimes it's just like trader intuition, but it's like when you get smacked down like this, usually, unless there's some real volume that comes in, right, the odds of it pushing itself back up is going to be tough. Right, especially when the rest of everything else in the tech sector was just like blah, right? You could just kind of tell the money was moving into airlines, it was, retail, banks, things like that, like other weird names. It was just out of tech, and plus, Apple is kind of out of play anyway, right? I mean, we got earnings coming up, premiums are super high, and then if you're trying to play out of the money, it's just a recipe for disaster, right? Because it's really got to move for the out of the monies to go. All right, so that's kind of the big thing on that. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful, but that's definitely one way to avoid it. See what's going on with the rest of the market. Make sure it's a broader picture move, and make sure you get confirmation, right? So you got to be careful with that. So good. And don't just jump in randomly. Brian, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Mark, Steve Nissan is one. Yep, Steve Nissan, that's exactly it. Yep, that's great for candlesticks. You get all the kind of the basics. I mean, it's kind of... It's a nice read, right? It's like a nice kind of simple, straightforward pattern, right? You kind of get to learn a lot of the basics. Then you can kind of look for them on charts and stuff like that. Real great one on that one. And then and you get to learn like some names and all that stuff. And then of course get into Bukowski, and don't forget John Carter's Mastering the Trade. Ernesto, what's going on? Piton, let's take a look. So 5-day, 5 minutes. Okay, good. All right, let's take a look at Piton. How's that doing? Yeah, downside fall. Evening. Is that almost an evening star right here? Did that real body close above or below? Yeah, evening star. Well, it's not really a reversal, but it's in the likeness of an evening star setup right here. So yeah, pretty bearish right here, guys. Got below its fib fan lines, below the 21 EMA. So Piton looking pretty bearish there as well if it wants some downside follow through on that. So definitely want to keep an eye on there. What else? Good. Victor, what's going on? All these pink lines on your charts, do you draw them or your program? No, I draw all the pink lines. Usually a lot of them are just from us talking here. So, but I use them. I draw my trend lines. I like to consider them more like purple. Anyway, so good stuff. Yeah, NCLH. NCLH. Okay, yeah, so decent candle here today. Norwegian, yeah. So we started to see some stuff move, right? CCL is probably one of the. I like the breakout candle right there. You can definitely keep an eye on it. CCL is kind of one of the more traded ones, right? Very, very similar, right? So got a little breakout move right there on the cruise lines today. So yeah, so definitely keep an eye on CCL. We'll put that on the radar as well, and then of course Norwegians as well. We usually see a little more options trading in the CCL. So good, Victor. So can't say I agree with people. Yeah, I know exactly. Well, it's each their own, right? Let's see. So good. So then stay away from the cruise lines. Okay, so let's see. So Victor. So yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's not talk about other people like that. Okay. The next, what should I do with USO shares? I don't know if it's open. Goodness gracious. So just be careful. Anyway, good stuff, guys. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube. And even if you're not new here, definitely click the like button. We always appreciate that. And really appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great night tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your chart requests and questions. I hope everybody has a good one. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. So stay healthy out there. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And thanks again, everybody, for tuning in.